Hi Year 6, welcome to Tuesday's reading lesson. Unfortunately my webcam isn't working this morning, I'm not sure why, so you haven't got my video, you've just got my voiceover for this lesson, and I will try to get it working for the next session, so sorry about that. Today you're going to need the Scorpions text, just like yesterday. If you're able to print it and you want to write on it, then print it off. If not, you should be able to follow it on this screen and just write any notes down on a piece of paper. So before we start reading it, I want to think about the layout, the structure of this text, and it looks very similar to our rattlesnakes text that we read yesterday. So the question is, and I want you to note down some answers or just think of the answer in your head, pause the video to have a think. How is the layout different to fiction? And how does the layout help you to understand the text? So pause the video, have a think of those questions and then come back. Okay, so the layout is different to fiction because hopefully you said it's got pictures or diagrams. Sometimes fiction has illustrations, but generally speaking, in the kind of fiction that we're reading in Year 6, it doesn't usually have illustrations dotted around the page at least. It might have a diagram with labels to help you. In this case, we've got a world map, which is labelled to help us as well. So that's how it looks different. It's kind of more split up, more chunked up than fiction. And how the layout helps you to understand the text, the text is usually telling us or teaching us about something, and the illustrations here just help to get that into our heads. So for example, here we've got a picture of a scorpion that helps us, because if we just had the text explaining what they look like, we might get a very different picture in our head that wasn't quite right. Similarly with the map, it could tell us where they live, but this is quite a good visual to show that actually scorpions live across most continents of the earth. So we are going to read and annotate together. So if you've got it printed, you can write on it, and if not, you can just write some notes while I read it to you. Okay, so scorpions. I'm going to look to this box first. It says type invertebrates, diet carnivore, average lifespan in the wild 3 to 8 years, and size 2.5 to 8.3 inches. We talked about lifespan yesterday. It means how long they live. Talked about I think we talked about being a carnivore yesterday. It means that you eat meat or other animals. And then a scorpion is an invertebrate, and an invertebrate is an animal that doesn't have a backbone. Okay, so lots of insects come into that category. Let's read it together. Scorpions are arachnids and have 8 legs like their cousins, spiders, mites, and ticks. Okay, so they're the same type as spiders, arachnids, 8-legged creatures. They can quickly grab an insect with their pincers and whip their telson, the poisonous tip of their tail, forward and sting their prey. They use their poison to kill prey and defend against predators. Okay, so if we look to the picture, we've got this is their telson. It's poisonous at the tip, and they use it to sting their prey, prey being the animals that they eat. So they kill their prey with poison, and they defend themselves against predators, animals which might eat them, using the poison. Only 30 or 40 species around the world have strong enough poison to kill a person. Each species has a special type of venom that works well against a chosen prey. Okay, so they're not all going to be deadly to humans, but they are all going to be deadly to something that they eat. Scorpions look like small lobsters and may be the first animal to move from water to land hundreds of million years ago. They have been around since before the age of the dinosaurs, and fossils of scorpions from Scotland hundreds of millions of years ago show that their appearance hasn't changed over the millennia, but they are now half the size of their ancient ancestors. Okay, so scorpions have been around a very, very long time, since dinosaurs, before the age of dinosaurs, but they used to be bigger because it says they are now half the size of their ancient ancestors, your family from the past, family members from the past. Scorpions typically eat insects, but when food is scarce, which means when there's not much food, if something's scarce, there's not a lot of it. When food is scarce, they can slow their metabolism to as little as 1/3 the typical rate for arthropods. And this technique enables some species to use little oxygen and live on only 1 insect per year. So they can change how much food they need. So they're able to slow their body down so that it doesn't need as much energy, doesn't need as much food, and then they can live on one insect per year. Okay, so that's going to help them where there's not much food, which is what it says next actually. Such survival skills allow scorpions to live in some of the planet's toughest environments. Researchers have even frozen scorpions overnight, only to put them in the sun the next day and watch them thaw out and walk away. Okay, so that's pretty remarkable. They've been able to freeze them, and then if they put them into the sun a day later, they'll unfreeze, they're fine, they walk away. So that suggests that they're able to cope with very, very cold climates. However, they are burrowing animals. So in areas of permafrost or heavy grasses where loose soil is not available, scorpions may not be able to survive. So they burrow, which means they go underground. So it's saying in places where the ground is difficult to get into, they may struggle to survive because part of the way they survive is by burrowing underground. Then we've got this map here where scorpions live, and you can see they're on North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. So they're on most of the continents of the Earth. Okay, so hopefully you've got some notes attached to that now, and hopefully you've understood that as I've read it and followed it. We've got one last task, and then we're going to carry on tomorrow and do some questions on the same text. So to finish the lesson then, we're going to summarise. And we did this before last term, writing the key points of a whole text in a short amount of words, okay? So I'm going to leave you here, and your challenge is to answer the question, what is a scorpion, in less than 10 words. Okay, so have a go. I'd love to see what you come up with, your what is a scorpion under 10 words summary, and I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you for joining me.